Fauci admits earlier COVID-19 mitigation efforts would have saved more American lives. Washington. Dr. Anthony Fauci said Sunday that calls to implement life-saving social distancing measures faced a lot of pushback early in the U.S. coronavirus outbreak, and that the country is now looking for ways to more effectively respond to the virus should it rebound in the fall. I mean, obviously, you could logically say that if you had a process that was ongoing and you started mitigation earlier, you could have saved lives, Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, told CNN's Jake Tapper on State of the Union when asked if social distancing and stay-at-home measures could have prevented deaths had they been put in place in February instead of mid-March. Obviously, no one is going to deny that. But what goes into those decisions is complicated, added Fauci, who is a key member of the Trump administration's coronavirus task force. But you're right, I mean, obviously, if we had right from the very beginning shut everything down, it may have been a little bit different. But there was a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then. The comments from Fauci come a day after a report from the New York Times detailed the Trump administration's missteps in the early days of the pandemic and how President Donald Trump ignored his advisors' warnings of the potentially deadly disease. An administration official separately confirmed to CNN that the government's top public health experts agreed in the third week of February on the need to begin moving away from a containment strategy and toward a mitigation strategy that would involve strong social distancing measures. The agreement among the health officials came after they held a tabletop exercise to game out the potential for a full-blown pandemic. According to the Times report, Dr. Robert Kadlec, the top disaster response official at the Department of Health and Human Services, convened a White House coronavirus task force on February 21. During his meeting, the group conducted a mock-up exercise of the pandemic that predicted 110 million infections, 7.7 million hospitalizations and 586,000 deaths. The group concluded they would soon need to move toward aggressive social distancing, even at the risk of severe disruption to the nation's economy and the daily lives of millions of Americans, but it took more than 3 weeks for Trump to enact such guidelines on March 16. Fauci told Tapper that there is always a possibility, as we get into next fall and the beginning of early winter, that we could see a rebound in the virus, but the lessons learned from the first iteration of it should help the U.S. better respond to a potential new wave. Hopefully, what we have gone through now and the capability that we have for much better testing capability, much better surveillance capability, and the ability to respond with countermeasures, with drugs that work, that it will be an entirely different ballgame, he said. There are more than 530,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the U.S., and more than 20,600 Americans have died, according to a tally from Johns Hopkins University. This story is breaking and will be updated. CNN's Megan Vasquez, Jason Hoffman, Kristen Holmes and Jeremy Diamond contributed to this report. Click subscribe to receive the latest news.